You are listening to When Life Gives You Lemons, the podcast that speaks to high-performing individuals who have been through adversity but come back stronger. I'm your host, Emma Levy, a physiotherapist who has helped elite athletes on their way to Olympic success. This podcast was born following my own trauma when I was diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 36. Sat in the chemo chair, I set myself the goal of starting a podcast to explore resilience and the importance of mindset. During this Olympic special mini-series, I'm speaking to some of Team GB athletes and support staff who are travelling to Paris for the Olympics and Paralympic Games. We aim to delve into how it truly feels to represent your country, the training, the build-up, the pressures associated with that, and how these guys are preparing for the biggest stage in the world. Today, I'm welcoming Andrea Spendolini-Sirieix.
Perfect.
Britain's most successful female diver of all time. Only 19 years old, and she is already a Commonwealth, European and world medalist, and now gearing up for her second Olympic Games in Paris. In fact, she has already started the Olympic preparation camp and is currently in between training sessions. So we are sat here in the London Aquatic Centre, run by Everyone Active, less than 1 week before Andrea travels out to Paris for the Olympics. Andrea, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolute pleasure. Are you tired being in the middle of a training camp?
Not so much. I feel like because it's the beginning of the week, I still got the energy that I need, but overall I'm doing good.
Amazing. And this Olympic Games is in France.
Yeah.
Your dad is French.
Mm-hmm.
Does that feel any more special to you?
Yeah, it definitely does. Like my family from France and my family from Italy can so easily access like the pool and everything. So everyone's got everything sorted. And yeah, you know, being half French, it's so nice to go to France. I had my home games in at Commies in Birmingham, then another home games in Rome, and then this kind of feels like it completes the home game series.
That's amazing. And you speak, am I right in saying you speak fluent French, Italian and Spanish?
Yeah, and English.
Well, obviously. How have you managed to speak all those languages fluently?
I don't know. I feel like my parents did a really good job in integrating Italian and French, like as I grew up, and then obviously English. We live in England, so that came easily. But Spanish is quite. I feel like when you know so many languages, it's quite easy to learn a new one, especially because Spanish is very similar to Italian, in my opinion. So a lot of the words were the same. You just had to change the pronunciation. And I love learning languages. So. Oh, and also traveling, like being able to talk to the Spaniards and then like just using them and how they speak and watching TV shows in Spanish really helped as well.
But it must make the world so much more accessible because you travel so much with your sport, don't you? And I know when you travel to all these countries, sometimes it can be really difficult when you don't speak the language. But for you, having those languages must be quite a bonus. Yeah,
no, it definitely helps. I feel sometimes I get a bit stressed because I obviously want to talk it in a way that sounds like good enough. But no, it's easy to travel and. You know, even in the countries that, like, I don't speak the native language, I can almost, like, make out what they're saying, even if it's not perfect. Like, I can almost get it right.
Yeah. And you're fairly early on in your diving career. You're only 19.
Yeah. How
old were you when you started, and how did you actually get into diving?
I started when I was 8. And before that, I did, like, loads and loads of sports. And then Crystal Palace came and they did, like, a... kind of talent testing, so it was like jump, stretching and everything, and they invited me to go and do a test, like a tester trial, and I went there and then I haven't stopped since. Like the more I did diving, the less I did the other sports, and it just made it so it was just so much fun. Like it was a mix between swimming and gymnastics, and those were my two main sports. But it was so much better than gymnastics and so much more interesting than swimming, so I just stuck to it.
And so did you love it from the very beginning?
Yeah, I love just jumping in. Like when I went on holiday, I would like jump off rocks. Like I loved the adrenaline that came with diving. I didn't know it was a sport. Like I was like, I didn't think that this actually existed as like a sport. But the more you do it, the more you enjoy it, I think.
Yeah. And you've achieved everything you've achieved up to now whilst studying full time for your GCSEs, for your A levels.
Yeah.
How have you managed that juggle?
There's no way that you can actually juggle it. Like there's no way you can find a balance. You just have to find time. And I feel like that's what elite sport really helped me with, is like management of time. Like I don't have all of the time in the world. I've got school, I've got diving, and then I have to find a way to fit everything else in. And so, Alex was a big help. Alex is a big advocate for education.
Alex is your coach.
Alex is my coach. And so he made me feel supported in my decision to pursue education as well as sports. And so that made it so much easier to talk to him about okay, hey, maybe I might miss this session because I've got revision for this exam, or I've got this deadline. And Alex was so good with helping me find the balance. But looking back, I don't really feel like there was much balance. It was just you just have to push through. You have to do it at the end of the day. And I got it done, so that's good.
But when you won those medals at the Commonwealth, that was in the midst of the exams, basically, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, a good thing with commies, it was actually after my exams.
Right.
And those were only mock exams, so they weren't the most stressful ones. The one where it became more stressful was before Fukuoka World Championships. That's when I had my real A-level exams. All throughout, I had coursework to do, revising, making revision material. But when we went to the World Cups it was China first and then Montreal. In Montreal, I started to get quite overwhelmed with, I had my speaking exam as soon as we got back, and I didn't feel prepared. And so that's where I found it quite difficult to it's actually kicking in, and I had to make time in order to revise and get everything done. But yeah, after my exams are finished, I felt I was so done. And the nationals before the World Championships in 2023, I did 3 exams that week, and I had 1 day of training, and I had to compete. And that was I've never felt so just exhausted. Yeah. And I remember finishing my competition, I just burst into tears. It was so overwhelming to the point where I was holding everything in. And then when I did that last dive and I got the spot, I just broke down.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
And then you've taken this year as a gap year, haven't you, to help prepare you to get to Paris?
Yeah.
And how have you found that without having the pressures of education?
It's been really good, but I'm really bored. Just doing sports, I've never done that ever. This is the first time in my whole life that I've ever just done diving. So I've had to find things to do. And I mean, I've really enjoyed coming to training and not being distracted by education, coming to training and actually being at training instead of mentally being someplace else. I've been really appreciating that.
Do you think you've got more out of training because of that?
I do think so. I think I made a lot more improvements. I feel even throughout the years of education, I made loads of improvements. But this time, because I didn't have something else, I was able to really zone in on things that we were working on beforehand. And I feel every year I'm making more and more improvements, which is really good, really good to feel and to see as well. But no, I feel it helps with the concentration aspect. But
there's quite a mental game out there as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel diving is more mental than physical. Everyone, you can do the dives, you just need to do the conditioning and do the somersaults. But it's really the mental aspect of technique and battling fatigue and exhaustion that really play.
So having this gap year has probably done you a world of good mentally.
Yeah.
But you've got plans next year, don't you?
Yeah, so I'm starting university in September, October.
Yeah.
So I'm studying journalism. I'm really excited to do that. And I've got loads of other plans that I want to do. Using this year has really helped me see what do I want to do after diving, because I can't just be a diver. I feel really boring. I feel I'm made for so much more than just doing the sport. And so I found time again to then develop myself outside of the pool too.
Yeah, it's very inspiring that, because I talk to people about the importance of having hobbies and things to do outside of sports, because at the end of the day, you'll get to the point where you're too old to dive.
Yeah, exactly. Plus diving, there's a clock. I want to have kids. I can't dive when I'm pregnant. That doesn't work.
No. So what do you want to do after diving?
So I want to go to university, and I the same thing that you're doing with your podcast, sharing people's stories. I also want to do that in a way where it's I feel like I was very privileged, you know, having the name Sirieix and being in the public eye, and like people wanted to talk to me. Firstly, because of my dad, like I was my dad's daughter, but now because I have my own success, and I really feel like I want to help people like with that first push. You know, the people that the media perhaps wouldn't go to, I want to go to them because everyone has a story that I feel they should share, like testimonies and things that will inspire. And yeah, that's one thing that I want to do, but I just want to help the next generation as well, because I feel like after I'm done, like Team GB is so strong that we need the new people, the younger people, the ones that people are like, oh, you're too young, like you're too inexperienced. That was me before, and I know for a fact that they can do above and beyond what we're doing now.
Yeah, and you're passionate about women in sport as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
So what do you do? What do you do for that? How do you kind of spread that message?
Well, there's loads of topics and things that only women experience. For example, our periods and stuff. And I know how difficult it is to go through it. And I feel like now we're breaking the stigma of talking about it and being like, actually, it's not something that we need to deal with alone. Like, we are allowed to talk about it and say, hey, listen, today I'm not feeling too good because this is going on, and it being spoken about, and then actually feeling like you're being helped instead of you're being a burden. And I know that I have that relationship, you know, with my coach, for example, who is a male, but he deals with it incredibly well. Also just understanding like the stigma of being a woman, like, oh, men can do better, or like there are things that apparently we can do that they can't, and understanding there's beauty in not being the exact same as men. Like, we can do things that they can't, they can do things that we can't, but at the same time we're all capable of doing incredible things.
Yeah, and diving is an aesthetic sport, isn't it? And you're wearing a swimming costume on the boards behind us in front of large audiences, and you did that from when you were very young to when you're now. How was that, you know, going through adolescence especially? Honestly, I never really thought about it. Like, it wasn't something that I was so conscious of, like, oh, I'm wearing a costume in front of people. Like, it's the uniform. Like, I had to wear it. There was no way around it. Obviously, I wanted to feel as comfortable and as confident because that's where I perform and that's when I train at my best. But in terms of, like, feeling, the only times I've ever felt uncomfortable were when, like, mentally I wasn't doing 100%. And that translates to then like feeling a bit shy or just not feeling too good physically. But I feel like now I've gotten to a place where it's like people will make comments, but that's not on me. Like, it's not because of me, it's because of them. And they have issues that they need to figure out. It's not something that I can control, because even if I control it, there will always be someone making a comment. Like, you can't please everyone. Of course.
But at the end of the day, like, we have to wear these costumes. As long as you're comfortable and confident, that's what matters.
Yeah. So do you think kids are put off the sport though because of that at all?
I haven't thought about it in too much detail actually, but I would think so, because you feel it's a very vulnerable sport, and we're vulnerable to not just like in what we wear, but to other people's comments as well. And I do think, you know, like growing up, there are, especially with like the hormonal changes, you know, puberty and everything, things you don't understand what's going on. You don't understand what's going on with your body, with your mind. I do think that that's something that we should talk about more. I haven't thought about it in too much detail, but now that you've said it, I think I will.
Yeah, I wonder. This episode is sponsored by Recovery from Joint Operations. They are a premier supplier of bracing and cold compression solutions, and the only bracing provider able to supply the highest quality knitted supports, complemented by a full range of framed braces. They offer a solution at every step, from elite sport to surgical recovery, and all of the products come with full clinical support and advice. As a physiotherapist, I've seen these in action at the Olympic Games in Paris and can personally highly recommend these products. Get in touch for more information. The website is in the show notes. And I heard you talking on another podcast about how you used to struggle with eating and being confident in your body.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so obviously it's an aesthetic sport, and I always had the preconception that platform divers specifically had to be very thin, and there was a period of time when my hormones were going crazy that I wasn't very thin. Like I wasn't big, but I felt big. And it's always this, I feel, and it's not always reality. So, you know, I was actually reflecting on Tokyo, and I had a terrible relationship with food and body image and confidence. And I actually lost my period for 6 months because of it, because of all the stress and everything. And like this time round, I feel a lot more knowledgeable with like my knowledge on food and eating, and also comfortable and confident in how I look, but not in how I look, in who I am. You know, I don't really think it's a reflection of like, okay, like today I'm skinny, so I'm confident. Like it's you being like confident at all times. Doesn't matter what you really look like physically. And I'm starting to get to that point. Like I'm not going to say like all the time I feel like confident in my body. Like there are times where I don't like the way that I look, but I have people around me that I go to and I tell them, and it helps a lot, because I'm not dealing with it by myself. Like actually vocalizing that and saying, oh, today like I don't feel like da da da, and then people actually giving affirmations and reminding me, you know, how beautiful I am. But it's not even like, oh no, you look beautiful. It's actually about the heart condition. Like, oh no, the way you talk and the way you are, like who you are is more important than what you look like.
Yeah. So you've really taken some time, haven't you, to go inside and to educate yourself.
Yeah.
On basically as well the importance of fueling.
Yes,
like
exactly.
You said, you lost your period for 6 months.
Yeah.
And that can have physical implications and put you at risk of injury and a whole
and I did
world of things.
an EPQ on the negative, you know, effect that body image and food can have on women in aesthetic sports. And I did that because I wanted the information, because I was dealing with it, and so I wanted to actually do an investigation and write about it. And that really opened my eyes a lot to the risk of injury. And I was injured a lot, and I did have a lot of issues, you know, physical issues. And now that I'm fueling and I'm eating, and it's like, okay, like I want this, I'm going to eat it, like having that intuitive mind where it's like, if I feel hungry, I need to eat.
Yeah. And you're a more robust athlete because of
stronger,
that, aren't you? Exactly.
And I look better. Like that's not the important bit, but I do look better after eating more. And before I thought I had to eat less in order to look better, when actually my muscles needed that food, so they were eating themselves because I wasn't feeding them.
And I imagine you feel stronger in the gym
big time.
and on the board.
Yeah, like there's a difference in my jump, there's a difference in my entry, and there's a difference in my concentration.
Yeah, and the people listening probably don't know actually how much you do strength-wise.
Yeah.
But you do a hell of a lot of strength work, don't you?
I don't even know how like many calories I'm burning in the day. Like Alex was talking to me the other day, he was saying so many, and the number was even more than I actually even thought. Like I don't actually understand how much energy I'm releasing in training.
Yeah, because if you have 2 sessions a day, and that's a mixture of strength and conditioning, dry land work where you do all your somersaults, and then you come out here and you dive for an hour.
And you're thinking.
Yeah. So the importance of fueling is unbelievable.
Yeah.
As well as the juggle with full-time training and studying, you've also become very sought after regarding your sponsorship deals. So we were talking about this before. You got Adidas, Toyota, Eurostar, Google Pixel. And there was a recent big Adidas campaign where there was huge images of you in your swimming costume plastered on giant billboards, basically, in a lot of the UK towns, including Stratford, where we are today in London. How did that feel when you saw yourself on that huge billboard?
Oh, it was so weird. It was so weird. Like all of my sponsors are incredible. Like the relationship that I have with them is like, I didn't think that it would feel like this, but I feel very, very grateful and very humble. Like when I saw myself I was just like, I didn't believe it. Like I just brushed it off because I was like, there's no way. But no, I give glory to God, because that's something that like I've been praying about, and that's something I always wanted Adidas. Like even before I was good, like I was like, I want a sponsorship with Adidas. And when I got it, I was just like, man, that's an answered prayer. I was just, this is crazy.
A non-religious person would say that was you manifesting.
No, that's not me manifesting. That's the power of God. But no, it was it was just they're incredible. And seeing myself on the billboards, I feel like my family were more excited than I was. I was just in shock. Like I didn't think that like diving would take me to there. Like that's something that I never thought would actually happen. But no, I'm very humble. I take it very humbly. Like I'm very grateful for all of the support and for all of these things that they're just extras, they're just bonuses. But no, it was amazing.
Amazing. And you've mentioned your dad earlier, the French maitre d', television personality Fred Sirieix. Has that brought challenges with it, having a famous dad?
Not necessarily. Like I feel like even when my dad first started going on television, like it didn't change my perception of him. It didn't change like our relationship so much. I feel like, you know, we're on very different, like, how do you call it, professions. Like, but it's so nice having a family that supports me so much. Like my family support me until the world ends. Like it's just incredible, and I don't really see him as famous. I just see him as my dad. And so when he's mentioned in newspapers or I'm mentioned in newspapers, I try to remind them that, you know, I have a mum and a brother as well. Like my dad does so much for me, but we come as a unit. And my mum and my brother are involved as well. But no, I'm really proud of everything that he does and what he's doing so far.
Nice. And you're very close with your mum as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
And she's been a great support throughout your whole career.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, my mum was the one that actually forced me into diving. I didn't want to go, but she pushed me into it.
Was there ever, when you were growing up, pressure from your parents, your mum or your dad, when you didn't want to dive?
No, not at all. There were times where I wanted to quit, and they didn't tell me, no, you have to do this. It was encouraging me not to give up, because they saw the potential, they saw the talent, they saw where I could be, and they made me believe that I could achieve that. So all of the times that I gave up, my parents were actually the ones that didn't let me. Like the last time, this was December 2021. Like I was like, I'm very serious about it this time. Like I'm either quitting or I have to change my environment completely. And that was the first time they were like, if you want to quit, like we totally understand, because I was going through like a whirlwind of things, and it was just, I ended up not quitting and changing coach and changing environment. And that was the change that I needed. I just, when you're in the same environment for too long, it can become too much. And I just needed a change of eyes.
And that was after the Tokyo Olympics, wasn't
Yes.
it? And I read, and it was just an article you had in the Metro this week.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the Tokyo Olympics, and you said you didn't enjoy it, and
No.
you were anxious, depressed
Yeah.
in that period of time. Is that what you're referring to here?
Yeah, it was the worst time of my life. Like I just felt so low, so lonely. Like I had so many people around me, and yet like I felt like I was the only one in the room.
So what have you done in the last 3 years to build yourself back up from there?
Actually, like my sport, I feel like that changes everything, because I had to do it every day, and now I get to do it every day. So it's like that mindset shift where it's like I actually enjoy what I'm doing, and I'm making the most of every opportunity.
So how did you begin to enjoy it?
Alex.
Really, your coach?
Yeah. And I was very, at this point, like, because I was so low, I was very dedicated to God and to my Bible studies, and ensuring that my faith was my identity and not diving. Because when diving was my identity and it wasn't going well, it destroyed me. But then when I came to Alex, I just said, I just need to enjoy it. Like, I don't care if I don't compete this year. I just really need to get to a point where I'm happy. And right now I'm not happy. And he really brought that back. So I'm grateful for him.
And how do you think he did that? Do you think it was by giving you more ownership of your training program, by making it more fun, by taking the pressure off? Was there anything kind of tangible you think he did that made you enjoy it more?
I think you have to talk to him about that. I don't know what he did, but he did something.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like he was like an angel. Yeah, genuinely. Like he really changed the trajectory of my career, and my family life strengthened, and my education got better. But he healed like a part of diving that was broken for a long time.
Love that. And you talk a lot about religion.
Yeah.
Was it that point where you found religion, or were you religious before that?
No, I've been a Christian for 7 years now. But that time, like, I feel like the low moments are when my relationship with God are really strengthened, because when I'm that low, the only person I can lean on is Jesus. Like, I can't lean on people, I can't lean on myself, I have to lean on God. And so faith has really helped me in the times where perhaps, you know, the world of diving would say I'm not doing so good, like I'm always enough in the eyes of God. And having that identity shift as well was integral. Like, I feel like when you put your identity in things that perish, it really damages your self-esteem, and it really damages your confidence and how you feel. Whereas, like, my identity isn't shifting, it's not changing, it's always the same in Christ. And that in itself is a testament to just loving life. I feel like when I started to really delve deeper into my relationship with God, everything else changed, because it wasn't like I was doing it so my diving got better. I was doing it so I got better. And then when I got better, everything else got better.
Yeah. So you kind of worked on yourself.
Yeah.
And then that helped everything around you.
Yeah.
Andrea, how are you feeling about the upcoming games in Paris?
I'm feeling pretty good. I really just want to enjoy it. I want to soak up the experience. I'm so excited to have my family there and they're watching. But no, I'm really excited.
And you do 2 disciplines, don't you? Because you do synchro with Lois and then individual 10 meter as well. How do you manage having the pressures of the 2 of them kind of alongside each other?
Right now, I'm not feeling any pressure.
Great.
I just really just want to enjoy it. Like, me and Lois have worked so hard. I feel like our hard work is going to show off in the competition. Whatever happens, I'm going to be happy, because it's been a long 3 years, and I don't want it to be like the Olympics is what defines the last 3 years. Like, it's been a lot of growth, and I'm completely different to who I was in Tokyo. So I want to enjoy everything. I don't want to have any pressure, and I just want to see, you know, what God can do.
And also, you're going to have all your family and friends there, which is quite different to Tokyo.
Exactly.
Is that important for you?
Yeah, their support is everything, and them being there to celebrate is what I need. Like, I feel like a lot of the time, the people like behind the scenes, like my mum, my dad, my brother, and Alex aren't celebrated enough. So I feel like having them there will be like, you can physically like celebrate them as well.
And how does it actually feel to be at the top of that 10 meter board just before you dive?
Absolutely fine. I feel like now I've gone to a point where it's like, it doesn't bother me anymore. Like, I have to be there, I have to do it. So it's a necessity now.
So do you never have any fear?
No.
Amazing.
No.
And will you stay this calm the whole way up to the start of the competition?
I hope so. I'll do my best.
Oh, I love to see this. I heard you say in a recent film about your journey, the most important thing about competition isn't the medal, but it's the moments that no one can take away, that you will have for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, I really feel like a lot of the time we fixate on like success as a medal. And to me, it's really not. Again, it goes into the identity. You know, your identity is then on if you win a medal or not. And to me, I just want to enjoy. Like, I want to enjoy the experience. I want to enjoy the process of preparing, you know, the preparations. I want to enjoy every single aspect. And that in itself, those moments, no one can take away from me. Like, whatever happens in the competition happens. I can't change it now. The only thing I can do is prepare myself the best I can and train the best I can, and then competition, just leave it to God and enjoy it. Yeah. Me and Alex love competing. Like, we love competitions because it's like the hard work is a training. The competition is when you can really show off. And
you're really good at that, aren't you? At focusing on the now.
Yeah.
You don't seem to kind of look ahead at all and get worried, but you are present.
Yeah.
And I think that is just such a like true athlete champion mindset.
Yeah. You can't be focused on the future if you haven't even completed today.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Final question, Andrea, which I ask all my guests. If you could go back in time to when things were their toughest, when you were really going through that hard time, what do you wish you could have told yourself?
Just be patient. Everything will sort itself out.
Yeah, nice. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you so much, Emma.
It's been such a pleasure speaking to you today and to get into that champion mindset. You are a sporting legend already, whatever the results are in Paris. And personally, I can't wait to see what you achieve.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
I love that chat with Andrea, only 19 years old. What a inspirational young lady. And I can't wait to see what she achieves in Paris and beyond. Remember, if you are listening to this, you can catch it on YouTube as well. And if you're on YouTube, you can see our amazing background at the London Aquatic Centre, run by Everyone Active. And check back in next week for another amazing guest.